Having a lot of fun this off-season, getting to meet a lot of folks in the winged super modified world, including this guy right here, who, from what I understand, I hear a lot of things. He's the better looking of the two Stephens brothers. We'll let the audience figure that one out later. He's a third-generation driver. He's 32 years old. He's an MRI technology guy, so he's one of those guys who puts you into machines that we all sit there and go, I'm too claustrophobic. Finished 8th in points last year with the Midwest Series. The MSS, of course, both series are together this year. He's a former national Quarter Midget champion. He's won 4 super races. His grandfather raced sprints. His dad raced late models. Let's set out to Ravenna, Ohio, which is south of Cleveland, and meet Talon Stephens. Talon, how we doing, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing very well. So we ready for the season? We getting that race car all ready to go?
Yep, sure are. We're spending lots of late nights and evenings trying to tidy everything up and put the new parts on and make sure everything is tightened up and ready for some practice, I guess, to start the year.
So you could not race this weekend then?
Could not race this weekend. I don't think we're that far along. We just got the engine bolted in, so we're kind of putting the power plant back together. Still working on some suspension parts, body panels, and we could maybe get it ready to fire this weekend if we had to. But as far as turning laps, it not yet.
Not yet. Okay. What is the plan this year? Of course, the big news, the off-season news was ISMA and MSS. I guess we'll start there. Any thoughts on the merger?
Yeah, I think the merger overall is going to be a positive thing. I think that was the intention, was to bring more cars together.
Right.
I think that the quality of cars that MSS, a lot of the ISMA and MSS guys were kind of racing together regardless, because our dates hadn't conflicted, and joining together just kind of it helps the MSS guys as far as the purse goes and some of the start money and things like that. The plan for us would be to support and run as many shows as we can. We're just going to kind of go one race at a time and see if we can put together a full season.
There you go. The picture you're looking at, by the way, is a year and a half old, so the kids are a little bigger than they are in this right here. You started as a kid, growing up in a racing family. Did you was that something you always wanted to do when you were younger?
Yeah, I didn't, as a kid, I didn't know that it was an option for me to be able to race. I remember, going to the racetrack. We'd go to Sandusky Speedway, and I'd watch my dad race and my grandpa race, and we'd sit in the stands all day and play cars and up and down the bleachers.
You were those kids, huh? All right.
I was one of those kids, and it randomly came about that we saw a Quarter Midget ad in a magazine, actually, and Dad started pursuing that. We went to a few races, and next thing I knew, we were starting to race. I was 5 when we did our first one, and I've been hooked ever since.
Well, did Trent start before you then, or did you guys start together?
So we started together. So Trent was 7 when we started. He's 2 years older than I am. So we started together. We only had one car.
Oh.
So basically, what we did was, it was just a restrictor plate issue.
Yes.
I was in one of the younger divisions, and he was a division up. So it was just a matter of removing the restrictor plate, and we both ran. And once we were both kind of addicted, it didn't take much time for that. Dad ended up picking up a second car, and then the rest kind of grew from there.
Did Dad continue to race, or did he put his career aside to get you guys started?
So yeah, he continued for maybe another year or so after we started, and then he started having so much fun with us, and we were just so occupied doing the Quarter Midget racing that he really wasn't spending a lot of time with his late model racing for himself. So yeah, he put his career kind of on the back burner, and that's kind of when mine and Trent's career took off. We started traveling nationally and regionally, and started making some big events.
Yeah, he was a national and regional Quarter Midget champion too, so he got around there pretty well. And what he's talking about with the plates, this is almost like the restrictor plates in NASCAR. A lot of the Quarter Midgets have the same engines. I think they got a gold plate, a red plate. There's a whole bunch of them, right?
Right. So, and some of it even had to do with even like weight restrictions. I would be in like a lighter weight class versus the older kids or whatnot.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that's how that works. So if you're looking to get your kid in a Quarter Midget, it's really wonderful experience. I have to do this one because you told me this. It's on our little form that we did. Tell me about your first race. You made a pretty big mistake that you didn't really realize.
Yeah, so first race, we started in an indoor Quarter Midget track in Columbus, and I didn't quite understand the full rules of the race, and it was a green flag feature event, and I was cold, so I pulled into the pits so I could warm up, and I
right
didn't realize
that
I couldn't. Yeah, I didn't realize I couldn't go back out, and I knew I messed up when I saw the look on my dad's face when he asked what was wrong, and I said my hands were cold. I knew I made a mistake right then and there.
Well, see, that's one of those. My dad always said, "There's some mistakes you make only once." That's the only time you did that, right?
That is one of them. Yes, the next time I would freeze. Yes.
Did 600 micro sprints on dirt. Did 305 sprints on asphalt and dirt before he took a couple of years off, and then eventually got into super. So really, for your first 10, 15 years, you were kind of on a different track, weren't you?
Yeah, really, super modifieds were one of the things, I would see at the tracks when we were racing sprint cars, but it was never something that I thought I would end up in. And even as a kid, they were almost intimidating just how fast they were.
Oh, so that was why you didn't think you'd do it. Okay.
Yeah, I never thought that I would go the super route. We had kind of gone the sprint car route, and I kind of thought that was the direction we were going to stay, whether it was asphalt or dirt, and we just Trent got into the supers and was racing pretty constant with the super modifieds, and it was, as family-wise, it was just really hard to try to race a sprint car at a different track when he was racing elsewhere, and it was, we grew up racing together, and then all of a sudden, I'm in a different state, and he's over here and over there, and Mom and Dad are on the phone trying to talk, and it was too hard to be in two different places.
Okay, so when did you go to supers then?
So in 2016 was my first year in the super modified. We bought one of the non-wing cars that ran up at Oswego and put a wing on it and ran 2016 was our first year with MSA at that point, which was before it transitioned to MSS.
Yes.
And so we ran. That was our first year with them. We came out of the gate pretty well. We ended up winning the championship in 2016 with my first year in the supers. We were extremely consistent. And didn't produce any wins the first year, but then following that, the second year, we started winning races and really putting things together as I kind of got more comfortable. And honestly, after 2017, it's kind of just been bad luck since.
Yeah, so he hasn't won a race since 17, so that's the big goal this year. Obviously,
right.
You said the biggest thing is you got, and by the way, he won the championship and Rookie of the Year in the same season. Like, that doesn't happen, so that gives you an idea of something that he did there. So what's been happening? Has it just been breakdowns, bad luck? What's been going on?
Yeah, we've breakdowns. We've had some engine trouble. It seems like every year. We've blown a few motors, and we're pretty small. Family-ran team. So when an engine goes, that takes the heartbeat for the year. So that's kind of put us on the shelf and put us back in the garage for a little earlier than what we've wanted the last few years. And we've had a few crashes and things in between, but. The crashes really we've been able to rebound from. Lot of help. The super modified community is yes. Wonderful. Guys offering pieces, parts, material, whatever we need. We've always been able to get the car back on track, unless the motor goes, and that's kind of been our unlucky part, I guess, the last few years.
Nobody can help you at the last minute there, so there's nothing they can
do.
But
right.
I think that's the thing that I enjoy most about racing versus other sports, and I'm sure it was even the way in quarter midgets, and we're just a little over a minute left, by the way, Talon. I love the way everybody comes together when they have to, because other sports aren't like that, are they?
No, absolutely not. And I think any super modified team that's out there, they want guys to be on the track, and they want you to be with them. Mm-hmm. They'll give you whatever they can to keep your car on the track or to get you to the track the next week.
Yeah, because they understand if we show up with 14 cars, that's not good for the promoter, and so they'll do what they. And of course, they want you to be able to run a line so they can pass you.
Right.
Having to go, where's this Talon guy going? Oh no, he's loading up the track again. It's not all because they want to help. There is a little bit of that in there. So, Talon, good talking to you, man. And stick around. I'm going to get a question that I'm going to ask your brother. So I'm interviewing his brother later on tonight. So one of the questions will be right from Talon. So see if you can think of something where maybe I can stumble him. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Guys, hit the blue E, turn on the notifications, hit the likes if you can, share, all that good stuff. It's going to be a wonderful season this year, ISMA and MSS together, and we're going to be there to see it together.